You listening?
What is happening, folks? Welcome to the Craic'n Coachin podcast with me, your host Emmett, and I'm with Donal as well here. How's it going, mate?
All good, brother. How has your Easter been? Has Olivia got any Easter eggs?
No Easter eggs for me. I got Olivia an Easter egg, but not to be a bit of a Scrooge, an Easter Scrooge, but I'm not really into the Easter eggs. I don't really get it. Like, I think once you surpass a certain age, like, what's the point in Easter eggs? What do you think about that, mate? Are you on the Easter eggs?
Yeah, I just think you should grow up, mate, and stop being such a child. That's fucking ridiculous. My opinion, if you've got the right fiancé, there's an Easter egg for everybody.
What Easter egg did you get?
I don't know yet. I gotta get out of bed before.
Oh, it's a surprise.
But for you, like, I would definitely head up to Moxie's here and get you like the 85% dark chocolate, Moxie's finest.
Just
Easter
big
egg.
dark
And,
chocolate egg.
Yeah, and then you can just split that up. You can still put it in your cream of rice and all, like.
Exactly.
So, what could have got
Well,
you
that's
an
what
Easter egg,
that's what Olivia should have been doing. But nah, mate, I didn't go for an Easter egg. I wasn't too fussed, to be honest. I got Olivia one because she likes it, but nah, just business as usual for me, mate. Too locked in for Easter eggs.
Maybe as I move into my later years, mate, I'll give up Easter eggs as well.
It's a natural progression. You end up, you don't really care. Same way at Christmas when you stop believing in Santa. It's the same with Easter eggs, mate.
What do you mean believing in Santa? He's not real. Well, I'm a big 28 here in 4 days, so maybe.
Happy birthday, mate.
Thank you, sir. What age are you again?
29. 30 this year.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Is that what you're coming home for?
I'm not coming home for my 30th. I'll not be home for my 30th, actually. I'll be back. I'm home for a flying visit for a wedding, mainly. And because I haven't been home in over 2 years. So I think my mum wants to see me.
Surely we could get a wee leg day in there somewhere.
Yeah. We'll get a session in. I think we should do a live podcast.
I think it'd be good crack.
Yeah, if we could. And get you a steak as well. And a training session. We'll have a lot of catching up to do by the time we connect.
I know. To be fair, mate, be shocked that, like, if I don't like something, I just not eat it. I'll have one bite of a steak and just sit there the rest of the time.
You'll like it.
Okay. Well, we'll get stuck in there, Falkland Lay, sir.
We will indeed, mate. Today's Falkland Lay. Forbirch.
Okay.
Forbirch, which means development. This episode is going to be about developing ourselves as coaches in terms of today's topic, so I thought it was a fitting one. Do you want to try that word for me? See if you have it. Forbirch.
Give me Forbirch. Can you use it in a sentence for me?
Tá mé ag Forbirch ianu mar duine agus mar múinteoir agus mar coach. I think I said that right.
Is that something
But
about
I'm gonna-
developing yourself as a
I'm
coach?
going to develop, yeah. Tá muid ag Forbirch ianu ar an pod crealy. We're going to develop the podcast.
I agree. Perfect.
Okay. So,
Oh.
we'll hit you with an update.
I have two messages to pass on to you first, mate.
Alright, go ahead then.
They're both from Keelan McAvoy.
Right. Can I guess what they're going to be?
Number
Something
one.
involved
shh.
ping pong. Right, go ahead.
Never put a shake.
Probably true, yeah.
And number two is put them bats back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he's had a conversation with you about ping pong, and for the record, this is on record as well, Keelan. He never beat me. Never once did he ever beat me in ping pong. We used to play when we worked in the civil service, and the job was literally just playing ping pong between maybe doing like pretend to do some stuff on the computer, but it was there. My profession was a professional ping pong player, as far as I was concerned, even though it was like 15 minutes on my break. And Liverpool are terrible, so I can't really argue with that one. But he also supports Man United, so let's not forget we're just both equally bad now. It's not like Man United have turned into this world-beating team.
See, my opinion of all this is very, it's not very nice. So
What? Of football?
Yeah, if you don't play football and you support it that much, you know, like, come on here. When's the last time you played football, for fuck's sake?
I have found myself, I don't care as much anymore. I'm too focused on doing my own thing than caring what 11 footballers I've never met are doing on a football pitch. I do still support the team, like, but my interest isn't the same. I suppose it doesn't help living here as well. Like, you're not keeping up to date as much with the live games and stuff. So, yeah, I'm not as invested these days.
Oh, and well, like, not a second message, but at the same time that was happening, I was training my client, and he says he knows you, and he also confirms that you are a class boxer.
Who's this?
Doogie, we call him. Aidan Douglas. He's from.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a client of yours?
Yes, he's transitioned over to Muay Thai a while ago. He's a dog. Like.
Yes, he used to box for us. He used to box at the club I box for in Glenaves, Townland. Townland Amateur Boxing Club. He used to box for them.
Mate,
there you go.
I say, like, he is somebody who could transition into natural bodybuilding so well. His muscle bellies for not really doing much hypertrophy are ridiculous. Like, so scary.
Get him into it.
He just loves punching people too much.
He just loves fighting, yeah.
Like, this is a guy that'll fucking probably get stuck into me. Like, I'm probably about 20 kilo heavier than him, and he just loves going for it. Like.
That's where I was. It's like a young Emmett.
Game as a badger.
Do you want to hear my update?
Yes, I do want to hear your update.
My new coach has been chosen and confirmed.
I don't want to ruin this, but I have a really funny feeling that I know who it is. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do, just for my own entertainment, I'm going to text you it, and you're going to announce it anyway. I think this is his name. Is that right?
No, incorrect. But you're on the right track. It was no one who we had discussed.
Well, we'll talk about who you discussed first.
I had a few people that my thinking was I wanted someone who was very much embedded in the bodybuilding space, but who was also an educator as well, which was driving me towards Ross Barron from Pro Coach. It was also driving me towards James McIntosh. Main reason was he's based in Australia, really highly educated, is involved with Prescript, like very much in like biomechanics, injury prevention, hypertrophy sort of space, but at the same time not so much like solely focused on and invested in bodybuilding, which was sort of what I wanted, and that is what I've landed on. So my new coach is Mr. AJ Morris.
Oh fuck, that's interesting, especially the conversation we had.
Yeah, it was like almost like the obvious choice, and sometimes I just like doing things differently. So it was almost, and even like Joe had said to me, I hope it's AJ, essentially, and I was like, I hadn't even considered AJ, to be honest. And I was like, well, why don't I at least consider him? Because he's the obvious choice for a reason. He's very much, you think of natural bodybuilding, who's the first person you think of? For me, it's AJ Morris. So I reached out to him, had a conversation with him, and right away I was just like very impressed with his passion for bodybuilding. Came through right away. His communication with me was really strong from the off. Even like simple things, he asked me for physique photos, and right away before I asked him for a call, to get a call, and he was able to give me a bit of feedback on the physique, and then he was able to dive into it a bit more on the call, which was something I didn't really get when I had the other conversations. Like, he was already pretty much, like, you could see that investment, and he knew exactly what I needed, and
He was set on the goal of bodybuilding.
yeah, and that drew me in, and his attention to detail and passion just came through right away, and I just know he'll be able to get like a lot from me. I think I'll learn so much from him within that process, and ultimately, like, I was almost trying to find a hybrid between a coach and a mentor. Like, that's what I was doing at the beginning, but with AJ, he is like natural bodybuilding. He's a competitor. He's a coach. Coaches to a high level, competes at a high level. So like, there's no way that I'm not gonna soak up and learn from him anyway, as an athlete, and it will benefit my coaching, no doubt, but it'll make me become way better. I just know I'm going to be keen to impress him, and if there's anyone I want to like emulate, it would be him almost. So
He's the best of the best.
That's the man, and like, that's what I want. So I want
Makes
the very
so much
best.
sense now why you were on MBW's forum. Like, you were on the app the other day. I seen that you posted it, and I was like, so strange. I've never seen him on MBW before. He's usually like J3 University or Pro IQ or something.
Yeah, so I've signed up. I signed up to that, and have diving into the content, which is quite good as well. But it gives you an insight into him, also. So that just like, I was sold. So
He's
we're
good for a
gonna,
conversation in person as well. Like, I've met him a few times, especially just being in the natural bodybuilding scene here. He is a very nice guy, and
yeah,
like, you would
helps.
think that he would be so like hardcore bodybuilding all the time. Like, the conversations are just very relaxed. It is good, and he does make time for you even whenever he's at his busiest.
Yeah. So that's the one, mate. That's the news. That's the bombshell. I'm pretty happy with it. Like, I'm settled on it. I think if I had went for any other options I discussed, I would have been like not so sure. But with him, like, right away, I was just like, I just knew. I just knew, like, so. And it leads us in nicely to this week's topic, because you might be thinking, as a coach, why are you like so set on investing in a coach yourself, and why should you have a coach as a coach? So that leads us into this week's topic, which is why coaches have coaches, why you should have a coach as a coach. So, will we get into it?
Yes, sir. Mate, I get this question so often off of clients as well. And then you explain it to them, they're like, oh yeah, it makes so much sense. It's quite interesting.
So, why do coaches have coaches? What's your take on that? You've had coaches for years. I've had coaches for years. We're both coaches, and yet we need that accountability or that external voice guiding us. Why is that?
Mate, I genuinely would not be without a coach now. It doesn't matter what my endeavour is or what the objective is, even if it's that I maybe step away from competitive sport in general, I will always have someone there. That's a guarantee, because if you see yourself as a busy individual that really wants to achieve the best that you possibly can, delegating is something that you're going to learn very fast, and realising that your own ego and your ability to actually be objective to yourself is very hard sometimes, especially when things get hard.
It's hard to see your own blind spots, isn't it? Like, you can very much be objective towards your clients, but when it comes to yourself, we all do it. We're all guilty of it. You treat yourself a bit differently, almost like a bit of a special snowflake, and it's hard to be objective. And we're all emotional beings, so emotion will always come into it. It's hard not to take your emotional bias out of it. It takes, I respect anyone that's able to do it to a high level, but I certainly know that having that external objective voice, usually with someone who's been there, done it, and has the experience, and who I trust to guide me, is going to make a massive difference. Like, could I run this off season on my own? Potentially. But am I going to be better served doing it with someone who has the coach's eye, objectively, and has done it to a very high level, especially when it comes to like competing in bodybuilding, having someone there to to call the shots, and then to build that relationship. But by the time it comes to contest prep, there's no doubt that having someone that's been there and done it, because that's a new game for me. So I'm going to need to have someone there who's had that experience and walk that walk, and does it with not just themselves but clients. So that's a big reason.
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
Definitely agree. From a standpoint as well, just sort of following off of what you just said, like it's an educational sort of process too. Like if you've got a coach that just making calls off the back of what their knowledge is, but not able to actually explain why they're doing it, especially you as a coach wanting to know, it can be a difficult one. So you more than likely having someone like AJ Morris in your corner is going to be very, very helpful, because he's not just going to call the shots, he's going to tell you why.
Exactly that. And yeah, you can learn from that as well, and apply it into your own practice and become better. So absolutely. But another thing is being able to maintain a high standard. Like I have quite high standards for myself, and I think having accountability and someone, like anyone, even if you're a coach, having someone else to be accountable to, who's going to hold you to that standard that you set for yourself. Because there are times when you don't really want to tick the boxes or do what needs to be done, but having that external accountability at all times is going to make sure that you do, even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, you'll just perform better because someone else is watching. Well, that's a nice innuendo, isn't it? Some people don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. And another big thing as well, something I've noticed over the years from attempting to do things by myself, you go through the process so much slower, and your ability to actually understand it is, again, it's so much slower. Like, you're just going to grow faster with a lot more guidance, and you'll get there a lot quicker. I think that's where there's definitely a couple of questions about this in the question boxes, but investing in yourself from a standpoint of coaching and business it's necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're, like we spoke about it briefly there as well, learning from good practice, like what good coaching looks like. I think I've always had a coach, and if I never had a coach and I was coaching, how do I know what good looks like? It's difficult. So having coaches there who getting an insight into their process, how they communicate, how they manage things, it's going to be helpful. So in terms of, we'll get into this as well, in terms of how to upskill as a coach, but that's almost like one of the biggest values you have as a coach yourself, is learning from someone else who is above you and has more knowledge than you.
They really set the standard for you. I realised that there switching over with Ben, I was like, Jesus, like what he was able to offer me at the time right away, I was like, so this is what a high quality of coaching service looks like, and this is what I need to offer to my clients. And God, like, I would love to pick a couple of my clients' brains between that time prior and the time now as a coach. Like, do they think that service has increased? I personally would say that it definitely has, because I know I'm definitely putting a lot more effort into the nitty gritty, the small things, and I can see clients getting better results for it. So it sets a fucking phenomenal standard for yourself, and it removes all the guesswork and the overthinking to things that you are going to just maybe spend a bit too much time on. I know if I had to prep myself, I would have been overly thinking about fucking blood sugar levels and like all the really like small details, but yes, they are minute and they do make a difference in the long term. But for your first natural bodybuilding prep, the realistic big goal in front of you and the big barrier is probably just stepping on stage, really getting there.
Yeah, and it would be an ego thing if you were to think, I'm going to do it by myself. Like, you're going to get a better result by doing it with external feedback there, that someone who's above you and like in terms of where they're at, and who's going to be able to guide you in the best possible way. And even just, it's a lonely sort of endeavour as well, so having someone else there in your corner is definitely helpful too. Like, even just for the relationship aspect, I love being able to communicate back and forth with a coach and build that personal relationship as well. Like, I absolutely love having a coach from that side of things too.
Yes, yeah, I definitely couldn't agree more. Do you have any more sort of like points of like why coaches have coaches? Because I want to spark a bit of a controversial question that might send us down a bit of a rabbit hole.
Well, I can't remember where exactly I heard this, but it's stuck with me ever since, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. And it's that a coach without a coach is someone that doesn't believe in the coaching process. And the idea behind that is you're selling something that you don't even see the value in investing in yourself.
Yeah, that is actually really interesting. Almost, surely that just gives you severe imposter syndrome as a coach.
Yeah. Yeah, there obviously are exceptions, like at the very top level. But most will definitely benefit from having someone in their corner, as we said, calling the shots. But I really like that framing in terms of if you don't see the value in hiring a coach yourself, why do you expect other people to see the value in hiring you as a coach?
Yeah, I'm actually going to get that tattooed on me, mate. It's resonated with me that much.
There we go. Yeah, I was like, we'll both get it. I agree. I do. I swear by that.
Get it in Irish.
But to be a bit hypocritical, I'm currently self-coaching for just a few weeks, for a short period of time, just to tie things over for a bit until I do start with AJ. So this is my first time doing this in years. So
I think there's a big difference between self-coaching and just like filling a transitional period, you know.
True. Like I'm not gonna be running the whole process, but in the meantime, in that during that, like,
bulk is coming in, mate, so it is.
yeah, just increase food by like 100 pounds every week.
Not moving on the scales fast enough here, boys.
You know what? I actually my body weight has been dropping the last couple of weeks. So I did give myself a little bump in food, which I think was warranted, and it was objective. I think it was as objective as it can really get. But I haven't really changed much at all. Like I'm not going to change too many things. It's just about ticking over, almost, and refining things, and then AJ will take over the reins. But like I've built my own cheats out and stuff in the meantime, just to track everything, make sure I'm still maintaining those high standards, because it can be very easy to let things slide. Even notice myself like within what, a week, the voice in my head telling me not to do the cardio, and it's like it was a bit louder, but I still got it done. But the voice was louder in my head. But like very little changes, as I said. But I've got like, I'm gonna continue like doing like daily check-ins and stuff, and just logging all my key data, and try and run a sort of weekly check-in, like take physique photos every week still. I would recommend anyone doing this too. Like if you're trying to self-coach or you don't have a coach, take photos weekly of yourself in the
Still
same,
hold yourself to a standard.
yeah, in the same lighting, at the same time, once a week, and like adjustments can come based on, you know, the visuals, and not just scale weight as well. Some people don't actually know what they look like because they've never taken almost like honest physique photos.
I think the type of people we are as well, the harder thing, and the thing I actually see with coaches self-coaching themselves, the ones that actually truly self-coach themselves with no other sort of opinions coming in, they actually always end up pushing themselves too far. I think that probably would have been a problem if I had a coach myself as well. I probably would have bent myself off. Probably similar to yourself, as much as you're joking around saying that wee voice in your head about the cardio. Like at the end of the day, if you're having that argument in your head, it's very likely that other wee voice is going to come in and be like double the cardio for being a wee bitch and wanting to get rid of it.
Yeah, and I know for a fact, if you're listening to this and you don't have a coach, like that voice in your head will probably win more often than not. Like if you haven't built up those habits and stuff over a long period of time, slacking off and missing things here and there can be a lot easier, but it all adds up over time, over weeks and months.
Rihanna's actually in the same boat as you, and she has put herself onto her own OneFit app.
Yeah, that's probably good. The only reason I haven't done that is because I'm still on OneFit, so I just haven't been like as a client, I haven't been taken off it, so I can't use it from that that perspective. But then I'm like almost trialing sheets to see if I can make better sheets than the one fit up. So I don't know.
It's actually quite interesting. Somebody messaged me the other day off the back of the podcast, asking about one fit, and of course, as we are sponsored by them, I was talking them up big time, you know. But I ended up just sending them across my own sheets because I was like, fuck, like I don't really use these anymore. I have 1 or 2 clients on them, but here you go, like take them, and because they don't really have that many clients. It's definitely something I'd say like in the upskilling section here that we're going to go into, but like use the bare bone basics, use the free stuff up until you literally can't anymore, and just the more value you give to somebody is going to be much better than you offering them an app, you know. So ready for this big controversial one?
Go ahead.
So if our question is, why do coaches have coaches? Why do people just not get coaches? Do you think it's egotistical? Do you think it's it's their own sort of yeah, personally I definitely do think it's a big ego thing of like you said, just not really wanting to go through the process correctly, or not wanting to be held to a high enough standard, not wanting to learn, not wanting to progress, like thinking that they know everything, they ought to be all and all.
Because it is holding up a mirror, isn't it, to your habits and how you live your life that maybe you want to keep hidden slightly. I don't want to draw much attention to. That can be a reason. Also another reason can be just not knowing, not seeing the value, because you haven't done it before, so you don't know until you give it a go, and like maybe being insistent that you can do things yourself, and that things aren't that bad, and almost that positive voice in your head, but is also can be a bit naive and telling you that things are okay when maybe they're actually not, and you could be doing a lot more, and you're letting things slide and you're not holding yourself to a high standard. And then 6 weeks, 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and you're like, oh sure, things haven't gotten that bad, until you blink and you've a lot of work to do to get where you need to be, and you're very unhappy with yourself. But I think seeing the value is one thing, and it can be an ego thing, I suppose. Before I had a coach, which was a lot of years ago now, I probably thought I could do it my own, and my initial experience of coaching was, after I've been coached once, you don't really need coaching anymore. Like you know it all then. But it doesn't work like that. It's
no,
more
there's definitely so much to learn. So much to learn,
but also like it's also being held accountable too. It's not just the knowledge you're gaining that you can just keep and continue on yourself. It's about upholding that standard and having someone else just hold you accountable. I think is like one of the biggest things that comes from coaching. I think everyone should have a coach. I think everyone rather would benefit from having a coach. The right coach, that is, for them. Like anyone can benefit from coaching, given the right coach. Sometimes people are scared off from coaching if they have a bad experience with a coach, for example. They didn't have a great coach, they didn't get a good service, and that's their opinion then formed on coaching.
Yeah, going forward. I also think that some people get caught in that sort of small pond mindset as well, of like others, especially in Belfast. You know, you ask someone that's maybe newly into the sport of bodybuilding or any sort of athletic endeavour, or even just general population trying to get fit and healthy, they'll probably only ring you off 3-4 coaches max, and in their head that's their only options. There's thousands of coaches out there, and you need to do your due diligence. Same way Emmett has. You know, he's not taking that decision lightly of going, fuck, I'm just going to choose the guy that's obvious. You know, the obvious answer for Emmett as a natural body, or wanting to delve into the natural bodybuilding realm, probably was AJ Morse, but he decided to go and make it difficult for himself, in a good way. But he did. He really took every single option there, and he almost pulled from every category that he could have, like the educator, the guy that is marked as one of the best, the person that maybe no one's really heard of, you know, and he's really taken the time to go do the consultations, find it hard gels with him. And you know what? Like, out of the people that he did call, maybe there was 4 calls there, maybe one of them was the perfect example, and they just didn't communicate well with him, and that could have set him off, and I'm sure you could delve more into that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, but that's so important, isn't it? That initial feel you get off someone, that initial, like, you will form your opinion quite quickly, based off a chat. So if you don't take that sort of process seriously, then that can prevent you from maybe getting a client who you would work fantastically well with. But I just know that based off everything, that I've made the right choice. But that does come from making sure and like exhausting options.
Yeah, doing your due diligence. I do have a couple of bullet points for it, but I just want to make sure I've covered them all. But I think we have. The big points that I absolutely love are just the sort of pushing and pulling points. Like, most people don't even realise it. Sometimes you are just high functioning under a high workload, and sometimes you just need to pull back. I think a lot of clients really get shocked whenever I do that too. Whenever I'm like, take a rest, and they're like, no, I'm good. I'm like, you're not good. You got an injured knee. You haven't slept properly in 3 days. Like, we want to get on top of stuff, I guess, really quickly. You know, you don't want to be, oh, sure, we'll see what happens at the end of the week when you're checking. It's Thursday, you've messaged me that you're having a problem. We'll fix it now. We don't fix it on Monday.
Yeah. It's the same. Like, I had a conversation with a client today around training or pushing through training whilst being ill. And my advice there is just don't train. Like, you don't have to train, put yourself through it. You're not like, you know, more hardcore for training through an illness. You're actually probably just going to make your illness worse. You don't want to be spreading germs around the gym, and like one of your biggest tools you have is recovery, and you want to make sure that you're looking after your recovery and managing it well. So if you're ill, take off the gym. And I would have been the same, pushing through. It's a sort of similar personality trait that I have, always just thinking I can do more and more and more, and like burning myself into the ground almost, which is another reason why it helps me having someone who can call the shots for me, because I would always just full steam ahead, tunnel vision, and it's not always, it can be a good trait, but it can also be the undoing of you if you push too hard without, you know, logic as well.
I mean, I have a great story about this as well. I'm sorry I cut you off for a wee bit. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was finished anyway. I was just saying, like, pulling back the reins is a skill within itself, and that push and pull thing you're speaking of, again, very much like as that's my personality, but it's very much easy for me to be able to call them shots objectively over someone else's process, and know when they need to pull back and know when they can be pushed a bit harder. But when it's yourself, it's a whole different ball game.
So different. I had this. I was consistent with this here for about 6 months before I actually realised or even communicated it. But I had this Friday leg day, and on a Friday I would usually take the small group classes afterwards. I used to bury myself, absolutely empty myself, and I remember going into this Friday, like these Friday classes afterwards, and I was like, I don't even feel like I can speak to somebody. Like, I'm so fucked. I'm barely able to walk. Central nervous system's shot to the bollocks. And I was sitting down there like, fuck, I can't even bring myself to focus on the environment around me. What am I doing here? And it genuinely took me about 6 months, and I was getting like severe anxiety getting into this leg day session. Even finishing it off, there was days where Rihanna was covering the class for me because I was that wrote off, and it just took the right coach to turn around at whenever I actually got on with Ben and turn around and just go, what the fuck are you doing? Like, actually, like, your training should not be leaking into your day-to-day life. It should be making it better. Yes, you're going to have some uncomfort, but you shouldn't be getting to the point where you're not speaking to people. Like, it's ridiculous. And you're in your off season. Like, you're not even deep in the prep.
Yeah, like, I always say, like, it should complement, not complicate your life further. Of course, like, some stress is good, and training within itself, some people don't understand, is a stressor. But there's a healthy level of stress. But that, like, example you just said there, it's almost like if you have a stress bucket, like, then using that analogy, where you can only fill it so much before it starts to overflow and spill over.
Fuck, I've been running that topic for about a month now, talking to clients about it in person, and a lot of them don't even realise it. Like, especially the younger guys, they're like, I'm like, your stress is too high. They're like, I'm not stressed out. And you're like, that's not what I said at all. Like, you're not understanding this. The same way as if anyone understands training, load management, we have stress management. Like you said, it's like the bucket. Like, the training adds to the bucket. So does work. So does having controversial conversations. So does spending time with your family. Like, all these things add stress to that bucket. And if it's overflowing, you're fucked.
Yeah, and like, again, managing that stress, so important. One of the key aspects of coaching is helping people figure out how to manage their stress. I think, just to go into this very briefly, one of the lowest hanging fruits there is just having a very straightforward routine where you go to bed at the same time and you wake up at the same time every day. As simple as that sounds, that's a really good way of managing your stress, adding predictability to your life, and then sort of within that day doing things where you can spend downtime, whether that's in the evening, going for a walk in the morning before the chaos of life ensues is something I always like to do. And like, before some people can go straight on the laptop, but I would argue take 5 minutes to de-stress, go for a walk, clear your head, and then you can start to work, and you're going to be in a better headspace to do so.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I'm actually someone that does that. I don't go straight to the laptop, but I go straight to work. But it's just, this is how life is. If I had my way, I would have a nice wee 30-minute walk in the mornings. And that's it too. It's being realistic with your day-to-day life. You know, if you've got that time, it's fine. I'm at a point now where I've burnt both ends of the candle. If I take anything else off of either end, then I'm not going to be functioning well at all. Like you're saying there, I'm just going to end up adding to that, which it's not something I want to do right now. But because at the end of the day, we all want to be optimal as well, don't we? As optimal as possible, but sometimes life just throws shit at you.
Yeah, but like, you want to be able to show up for the best person you can as a coach too, for your clients, and you do that through being able to manage your own stress and how you carry yourself day to day. That's why we spoke about last week about walking the walk, and that's not just about being in sort of physical condition. It's just how you carry yourself and how you manage your day and how you manage your time, because being able to like almost give advice on that sort of thing, you have to be doing it yourself, otherwise that's where the imposter syndrome can creep in. And I think, yeah, that's one of the best ways to make sure that you can actually provide a good service in terms of how you look after yourself, first of all. But there are other ways you can upskill and improve as a coach, which is the next thing we're gonna dive into a bit here, because the best coaches are always learning and getting better. There's no end point where you know it all. Once you think you know it all and become less open to learning more and listening to new ideas and taking in different opinions from different people, is when you stop progressing as a coach.
I definitely agree there. I think it's just it's an ongoing game. Yeah, I never want to stress people out with that either. I think at a young age I always thought to myself, holy fuck, like, how am I supposed to always stay on top? It's like, you always stay on top by just loving this actual process.
Yeah, it's the journey of, sorry to butt in there, but the journey of learning continually shouldn't like overwhelm you or give you this impending sense of doom that you'll never have it all figured out, because no one ever will. And that continuous learning process and learning to enjoy that you're always going to be able to improve, whether it's 1% every day or every week, is only a positive in my eyes. It should be something that actually excites you.
And fuck, like, I don't think either of us would be in this job for, well, definitely me, for as long as I have. If it didn't, you know, like I proper nerdy about this stuff. Absolutely love it. Love learning new things. And don't get me wrong, there's a foundation of skills that you need to get in place before you can almost coach somebody. And I think that's to give people the independent doom. Once the foundation's there, you build off of it, build all the branches.
Yeah, and like, imposter syndrome will probably always be there, but not necessarily always a bad thing. Just a thing that there's more work to be done, and until you prove to yourself and gain that experience and gain that new skill, there will always be a bit of imposter syndrome, but once you're confident at a certain level, that can creep away, and then you get imposter syndrome about the next thing that you want to go and improve.
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant point just to make, is that being a coach and doing this it's hard, and especially doing it for years on years. Most of the time you're never ever going to feel like you're there 100%, like you've actually made it, but you do need to take those small milestones and celebrate them. You know, your first client that's lost weight, amazing. Your fucking first client steps on stage, the first time that even from a business aspect, the first time you make a certain amount of money, because even though that can be a very like touchy subject about like you're a coach, you know, like that is almost showing your value. So like take all the wins. You know, if I had a conversation with my 19-year-old self right now that was sitting in Dedicated Fitness's front reception waiting for clients to come in, like he would be absolutely over the moon for me, like, and he'd be in fucking shock. And sometimes I just don't even take 10 minutes to myself to realise, holy shit, you're actually in a really good position right now.
Yeah, and as you know, it didn't happen overnight. It was a working process.
No, Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah, figuring things out as you went. Have you heard of the competency model?
I have not.
So it's when you start a new skill, or you maybe start a new endeavour, you start off unconsciously incompetent, right? So you don't know you're incompetent. Then you get better at it and you become consciously incompetent. So you're like, shit, I have a lot to learn here.
I know where shit I am, man.
Yeah. So it shines a light on it almost, and then you keep learning, and after a while you become consciously competent, and eventually you refine that enough, you become unconsciously competent, and it just happens almost by default. If you take that into a coaching setting at the start, you don't know what you don't know, and how much there is to learn. You start learning more, the more you realise, the little you understand that you actually know. And then you start to become a bit more competent, but it takes so much effort and a level of thinking until it becomes automatic. But if you want to continue getting better, you have to keep going through this process, I think, continuously throughout your career as you climb the ladder and as you like unlock almost new levels.
I definitely agree there. So, Upskill, I do have some points wrote out, and I think we can really simplify this for anybody listening.
Alright, let's go dive into it.
Okay, so let's break them up into 4 points. So we have coaching skills, we have programming and training knowledge, we have nutritional knowledge, and then we have business and coaching systems. Are my 4 pillars.
Okay, let's go into the first one.
Okay, so coaching skills, this is just where you learn the techniques of coaching, cueing, communication, and of course these can delve into the other ones, but this is sort of the main point. Giving better feedback, learning when to push and put your clients, how to hold them accountable, practice explaining things as well, your communication and how it comes across, and trying not to overwhelm people with points and cues that they just don't even need. And it's just meeting the client where they're at, building that client relationship and trust.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I would just echo that.
It makes a big difference. One of the big things there that I would definitely say for any new coaches coming up trying to upskill on coaching, and it was a brilliant one that I took away from the pre-script and no switch hypertrophy weekend, was that if you have a client coming to you and they want to do something really specific, let's say her name's Margaret and she's 45, and like, you're a new coach, so you don't have a choice, you have to take these clients even if they don't meet your niche or they're not the person you want to train, and all she wants to do is kettlebell swings. Then you better teach her the best kettlebell swing ever. You know, you can add small pieces into it as we go along, but trying to teach this person that no, this is not the best thing for you and we need to go to this can be very difficult, so we need to build on that slowly but surely. I have the perfect client example for that there. It's taken nearly 2 years and only realising what protein is now. So, yeah, it does happen. It doesn't matter what level you're at as well. Even if you are the guy that knows it all, some people just don't want to hear it, and you just need to meet them where they're at. A good coach will meet a client where they're at.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add there?
No, 100%. And there's one of the Q&As, and I'll actually get stuck into meeting them where they're at and how you would sort of go about doing that, which we'll dive into. But like one of the things you said, simplifying things and not using that sort of necessarily having to use the language from the textbook doesn't show you're more knowledgeable. It's almost being able to say things in the most simplest terms shows that you actually know something. You can't explain something very easily. You probably don't know it enough.
I love that, man. That's something that I've heard many a times, and it always just settles with me so well. Like, if you can't explain it to a 7-year-old, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like it can be easy to get caught up in that and wanting to show how much you know, and rhyming off all of your knowledge, but it's not always applicable. And as you said, there's some people who you're working with who don't know what protein is, don't know what the calorie is, so it's about meeting them where they're at. And if some people enjoy an approach which necessarily isn't the optimal approach, it's about catering for that in a way. And I always like to speak about giving them what they want and blend it with what they need as well. So
Definitely.
as much as kettlebell swings may not be doing very much from a perspective of, you know, helping someone get into better shape or train the muscle through its full contractile range, if someone enjoys it that much, let them do their kettlebell swings, but just incorporate things in the mix as well that's going to help them.
Yeah, and this delves into, of course, the next point about programming and training knowledge. One of the biggest things you're probably going to face right now is the utmost amount of knowledge that people have access to and how much they're being fed pseudoscience through social media platforms. Your clients are going to come to you and be like, why don't we do this? And it's like, well, without turning around and going, well, it's fucking stupid, you almost just need to reel it back and go, okay, like, if I was in the same position and I was being force-fed all this information, I would probably believe it too, so we need to explain to them, fuck that. Almost my process of it is meet them where they're at. Like, oh, I've seen this too. I looked into it a wee bit more. I do think that the idea behind it is brilliant, but this is actually a much better way to do it, in my opinion, and here's the proof why. It's usually a nice wee guidance to it instead of just turning around and going, no, you're wrong, don't be listening to him.
Yeah.
But programming and training knowledge. So understanding volume and muscle groups, the progress models, understanding the accumulation, the sort of overload, where to deload, that kind of stuff, exercise selection for different goals, fatigue management, but big one we were talking about there, the stress management too. Who you're programming for as well, whether they are beginners or advanced, programming for different goals as well, whether that is fat loss, that is hypertrophy, that is strength, and then again delving into other things that maybe me and you don't do completely, but sort of the conditioning side of things, the running, and then delving into how to actually manage injuries and regression. So I think all these topics are ones that we can really dive into. Sort of where I find being a coach at my level and where I'm at right now, the one big thing that I really learned fast was delegation. There's some things I just can't do, and we need to find a resource for that there that is trustworthy. So when it comes to injury management, past the point that I just can't control it anymore, I have a physio I send people to. And it's also understanding the difference between like other people's specialities. There's a difference between what a physio is and what a sports masseuse is. So really diving into other people's sort of career paths as well to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how that's applicable to my client. If my client wants to get better at running, it's sending them to the right running coach. So creating those relationships is a massive upskill as well. So actually delving outside of your own like comfort zone, going and training with other people, going and having a coffee. See, the one biggest thing I would say to any coach coming up and through, fucking do not be afraid to text someone and offer them a free coffee. I'd take a free coffee any day to go have a conversation with somebody. It wouldn't bother me one bit. And do you know what, if you're somebody that decides that, fuck you, I'm not going out for that coffee, I don't like it, like, move on to the next person. They're probably not someone you want to be in any way have a relationship with anyway.
Yeah, you're good for that, I think, in being able to reach out to people. And you said it before.
This podcast.
Yeah, exactly. You said you knowing what you want and going after and getting it, but that also shows almost willingness to maybe learn from different people, different approaches. Like a lot of the things that I think in terms of upskilling was a bit of a different sort of, I had something different in mind. Almost things like being coached yourself is where you're going to be able to put yourself in the shoes of a client, learning how they operate, like their communication style, their processes, stuff like that, and asking them questions. I think that's the first place you should start. If you want to be a coach, get a coach first of all. Get a good coach and see how they run things. And you're going to learn more from this than most courses that you'll do.
Definitely.
As much as you can learn a lot from courses, and I think that's another thing that I was thinking of with this question was, where should you be gaining this knowledge? Where should you be gaining your programming knowledge? Where should you be gaining knowledge of communicating and meeting clients where they're at and stuff like that? I think...
Yes, so with those 4 pillars, I know there's subsection of just ways to actually upskill, but yeah, if we sort of skim over them 4 pillars of the coaching skill, the programming, the training, the nutrition and the business, ways to actually do it are exactly what Emmett's talking about there. Like, that is ways to go out and actually carry through with the process. It is actually getting a coach, it is investing in yourself and realising that you're not able to do everything yourself, or maybe not able to learn everything off Google.
I think the best thing about having a coach in that context is the difference between applied learning and more passive learning. Because like anyone can enroll in a course, easy just to skim through stuff within that, but the key is being able to apply it in a real life setting as well. And I think coaching gives you that, because you're almost experimenting on yourself. Like, don't be afraid as well to try things out yourself and see what works, because coaching is just one big informed experiment, and the best person you have to test things out on is yourself. So like, and this was actually AJ put up a post, and I seen this recently and it resonated with me a lot. It was, when it comes to training, spend the first few years experimenting, finding out what works for you before worrying about the minutiae, the 1%. Almost like 5 years, I think he said, is being broad and exploring, and then beyond that you can narrow deep dive into things. So I think that's good, but like, try things out yourself and see if it works first on you before you apply it to a client, and whether it's something new that you've read or a study or something like that. So I always will try something first and make sure that, well, have my experience of it before I sort of give that information or provide that within a program or anything like that.
Be the test on me.
Yeah.
And the big thing as well, if you're afraid of doing that because you may lose a certain amount of progress, maybe you are better suited as an athlete than a coach. And come to realise that fast. Like, there's a big difference. Like, I understand that whatever it is you're doing, whether it's bodybuilding, fighting, it is running, conditioning, high rocks, if you're doing that there because it matches up with your hobby or your passion, you don't really have a passion for coaching, you have a passion for that thing. And if you're not willing to actually lose progress in pursuit of becoming a better coach, then maybe you are somebody that just needs to be an athlete and realise that hanging up the coaching hat isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, just because you love training doesn't mean you should automatically coach someone else, because it's a different ball game. Taking someone through a process, including training, just because you love training yourself, it's a lot more difficult than that.
Yeah, you see it day in day. Like, some of the best coaches they're not the best athletes.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. You know, like, you don't see the likes of like C-Bum, like Chris Bumstead, like coaching people. He plays like a coaching app or something now, but like,
And C-Bum's coach, he's not a bodybuilder. He coaches bodybuilders. So it's almost separate. They can almost be separate entities. Of course, you're able to marry both together. Some people do it extremely well. It's something that I'm looking to do. Again, one of the main reasons why I've hired who I have as my coach, someone else that does it extremely well. So it can be done, but just because you're good at one of them doesn't make you good at the other necessarily.
Yeah, definitely. So, ramming off a few ways to upskill. Studying a set amount of time per week. I don't think there should be an optimal set of time. It should just be whatever works for you in terms of your ability to actually consume knowledge. Personally, I couldn't sit down for 3 hours trying to learn. 1 hour is good for me, and then taking myself off and maybe splitting it across the week. So 1 hour at a time, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, depending on where you're at with things and what you need. If I go into the rabbit hole and I'm very obsessive, I could sit there for 4 hours very easily, but it just depends on the topic and what I want to know fast.
Yeah, and how much time you have available too. I think an hour is a good time frame initially to set a couple of times a week, or if you can set yourself almost like a personal development day where you can spend a bit longer on the learning side of things. I think that can be something very useful if you have that time available. But if you're stuck on time, like a lot of the best resources aren't necessarily paid resources where you have to sit down and learn almost like a course. It can be podcasts, go out for a walk, and some of the best podcasts that I've listened to, I've learned so much from them. Revive Stronger is probably number one with Steve Hall on. Like he gets really high level guests on, all about bodybuilding. So if you want to learn about bodybuilding, specifically natural bodybuilding, I'd be listening to the Revive Stronger podcast. Me and you are both big fans of the J3U podcast.
Big up.
Great podcast, like a shorter sort of podcast. I have done the level 1 course, which is very good, but sticking with podcasts, like there's a few other ones that I really like. Paint the Edges with James McIntosh on that is a great podcast for learning. RP Strength, you know Mike Israel. That's a good one. And loads of others, like you can even go down the likes of Huberman Lab and stuff, and that sort of different side of things.
Even like Chris Williamson, depending on the guests that get on, of course, they'll be going and listening to one on, I don't know, politics, it's not going to benefit you at all, but there's some very specific ones there that will definitely help you as a coach. Coming up to the hour mark, so we'll blutter for these and try and make this one a bit shorter today. I think it was the goal. But Bullen, if you have anything to add, watching other coaches and asking other coaches better questions is a big one there for me. Reviewing your clients' results monthly. I think it can be very hard to see things week to week if they're not in certain phases. So realising, is there things I could be doing better here? Is there things that I could apply very easily that will make a big difference? And learning from your clients' failures is a massive one. Like, drop the ego, take it on the chin, realise you did something wrong, fix it next time around. And one of the big things as well is let that client know. Be like, I made a mistake. Most clients will be like, fuck this guy really wants to give me the best, make me the best version of myself.
Yeah, you can be maybe afraid to be honest or admit that you're not perfect, you can make a mistake. But that's a very good one, almost like a feedback loop where you're reviewing your own coaching decisions that you make, being able to make a decision, see what happens, and then refining your judgment over time. Like, for example, if a client, wasn't losing weight despite me making changes to their food in an initial period of coaching, I would have been scratching my head. Like, what am I doing wrong, or why is this not working? But over time, you're able to read between the lines a bit better. Notice certain telltale signs if they're actually adhering, if there's stress build up, if there's inaccuracy with tracking, if there's something you haven't explained, or a step that you've skipped within the process. So I think that feedback loop and refining your own process over time is very important. I think if you're a coach listening to this, it's not just all about how much you know. it's about how well you're able to apply what you know.
It's so simple to actually miss a step as well whenever you're doing this so consistently over and over again. Also, you have to actually take that step back sometimes to realise that not everybody has the same amount of knowledge that you have, and they don't understand everything. You know, you could have another coach come on board as a client, and you've missed these small crucial steps that they just never applied. You know, like you actually drink this amount of water a day, this amount of salt. You know, you can do this here with your meals. When it comes to your training, you know, you don't need to do this, that, and the other. Like having to realise that like people don't have all the knowledge that you have.
Yeah, like backing yourself there. There's different skill sets you have that another coach might have a completely different skill set. They might know things that you don't know. You can learn from them. You can always learn different things from different people. I have a question for you with regards to learning. Do you think, in terms of your approach or what you would recommend, would you say learn broadly for learning's sake to improve almost like a skill set long term? Or solely focus on learning things that are directly applicable to the clients we're working with right now?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a very good question. So your client's ability to ask good questions is definitely one that is going to benefit you here, because you will only educate specifically. But if you know the nitty gritty specifics, then you should probably know the broader answer. Does that make sense? So if you know, I don't know, if you start learning about how to manipulate water for making weight for fighting athletes, or alternatively manipulating water for some sort of peaking process in bodybuilding, like you should probably understand why the fuck you're consuming water. Yeah, does that sort of cover that? Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, that's a very good one. Where I was getting at with it was almost like I said there that I'd done the J3U level 1 course, and I'd done it very early, and I'd probably done it when that knowledge wasn't applicable to me or my clients. A lot of it's heavy PD, heavy bodybuilding specific. You know, if you're not coaching bodybuilders, if you're not down the enhanced route, knowing all that, is it applicable to you? I almost wanted to do it just to broaden my skill set and my overall knowledge, and with the almost consideration in mind that I will need to know this stuff at some point down the line. But yeah, so but is it are you better placed maybe specifically focusing on things that are applicable right now? So maybe
whack your lamp on. You've went through dark mode, sir.
I know what's going on.
The sun has went to sleep.
Oh, the sun
There
was
we go.
down, and it was getting darker and darker.
I was like, are you gonna start giving me Batman quotes here? You're probably just delving into the dark.
That's what.
Yeah, much better. But yeah, mate, I think the big question there is, did you feel like that was a task at the time, or did you just have that urge to learn and your interest was so high?
Certain aspects of it that maybe were more applicable, such as training modalities, nutrition, and things like that, and like becoming a better coach, and like stress management and stuff. I was all in, but then when it was coming to the PD side, it's almost easier to switch off because, well, I don't need to know this as much. So you're going to skim over it a bit more. So it's again what I mentioned previous. It's the difference between applied learning and actual passive learning. Like in terms of a resource, becoming a better coach, the best, and I couldn't speak highly enough of it, is the ICM with Carl Reistrick, Alex Gates, Ryan Hook run that. That was an unbelievable resource. Like that is specifically catered towards coaching and becoming a better coach. So that would be one I'd recommend, and that's one I definitely took a ton from and was completely invested in learning from that side of things. But
the sort of let the listeners know as well, like Emmett has like invested in his education a lot more than I have. A lot of my education has came from just hours on the job.
skin in the game.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, you know what I mean? Me and Emma can have very intellectual conversations now, but it's come from two completely different angles, you know. In terms of educational resources, I couldn't agree. There's something, I think the point you're trying to get to, there's some things that are completely overshot. Like, you don't really need to know that, and what does an up and coming coach need to know just to coach general population? I think they just need hours on the gym floor. I think you need to go to the coach that's probably doing quite well at that as well. And like you say as well, just investing in the right courses can be very hard. I think that's where you're definitely going to come in for knowledge wise. Like, is the J3U the one? I see so many people paying the money for the prescript. Like, do you really need to know biomechanics that well to coach fucking Margaret that's doing her kettlebell swings? Maybe not.
Yeah. This thing though, like a lot of it, and definitely resonate with what you're saying, but I would almost be wanting to jump on the prescript and learn about biomechanics and dive deep into that, even if it's not solely applicable to what I'm doing, and not just like a want to learn more and to get better. I think, but you said as well, with the analogy you used, if you have that broader knowledge base, like almost like simple things, you're able to dumb down a bit more and explain very simply and break down to a general population client, I think. One last point that I wanted to talk about, rather than like learning resources, a lot of the big improvements in my coaching as well haven't come from learning about coaching specific things in terms of those courses that we mentioned, but like reading books, the amount of books I've been through that I've been able to apply to my coaching, and they're like not books based on training and nutrition necessarily, they're more like diving into like psychology, communication, behaviour, productivity even. I've been able to take nuggets from those and apply them into maybe your day to day, and changing how you think almost can definitely help when it comes to coaching side, especially when it comes to like emotional intelligence and being able to empathise with clients in certain scenarios and being able to hold like important conversations. So some of the books as well for self-improvement to challenge your beliefs and your thinking can be as invaluable. Like, there's so much you can learn from a good old-fashioned book.
I'll double down on that, mate. I really believe that the psychology aspect of things matters not way more, of course they pair really well, but in my opinion, from my experience coaching, it can make or break a client. You know, like, they could give them all the perfect information when it comes to your coaching system, the nutrition, the training, what they're supposed to be doing on a day-to-day basis, but sometimes, like, I experienced this yesterday. I had a phone call with a client, and it completely has changed within the space of a day what their approaches are like, how they're actually doing. So understanding that process is massive. I think actually just taking 10 minutes to realise that we're all human.
Yeah, that's that relationship side as well that you're building, and they've been able to jump on a call and build that rapport almost. A coach, like a client, doesn't care what you know. They care how you can help them. And
how much you actually care about them too. You know, you're fucking invested in the process as much as they are. I think that's a massive one, huge. You know, if you were to complete your bodybuilding prep here, Emmett, in the coming year, and the coach is just to drop you a message that you're like fucking like buzzing, voice note comes across, you stand there with a gold medal, fucking did it, no, good job. You know what I mean? I'd be jumping on the call right away. I'd be phoning your fiance, being like, get him on the phone now. You fucking did it, mate. That's amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you are an up and coming coach, fucking be invested in your clients' lives. Don't be afraid to make those phone calls. Don't be afraid to give them the value that others aren't.
You'll get very far just by actually giving a shit.
Yeah, and like Emma says, go read books. I listen to audiobooks because I'm dyslexic.
Audiobooks are great as well for walking on the go, but I think you'll miss more with an audiobook. Whereas if you're actually sitting down and reading, you're going to consume that knowledge a bit more. That's my personal experience. Sometimes I got a nice wee
learning exercise off of Alex Hormozy actually, and it was it's a bit more expensive, but audiobook on 1.5 speed while reading the book has made a massive difference for me.
That sounds like a nightmare to me. I couldn't do that.
I know, but like we're in two different perspectives here.
You
I
don't mean
just don't.
you don't mean whilst reading the book. Do you mean like powering alongside it at different times, or do you mean you're sitting reading the book and you're listening to it at the same time?
Headphones on, book in front of me, and it's like reading it to me, like subtitles.
Ah, okay, I get you.
So it's apparently supposed to spark different parts of our brain and the learn method.
It's almost that aspect where if a teacher is reading the novel and you're all following along, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's okay. That's fair enough. I've never thought about that before. What I sometimes would do is listen to a book, or no, read a book, and then you don't get it all. It doesn't all go in. So maybe afterwards, I'll listen to the other book of this, and then it really gets it into the dome, into the brain.
Yeah. Well, like the big thing for me, just again, my hours are definitely very limited in the day, and I don't know what it is, but reading genuinely puts me to sleep. Like it really does. Like I mean, I'll be like 4 pages in, and I'll be yawning, and I'll be starting to delve off. And maybe it's one of the things I need to do more of. But I think
what
that's
time do you read
very
it?
helpful.
Do you read in the evening?
It's been no,
Do you
it's
say?
actually been very different times of the day. So it has.
Okay. I was going to say, maybe if you're tired you're reading. I've actually noticed I'm reading Why We Sleep at the minute by Matthew Walker. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It almost makes me sleep reading parts of it. I don't know if there's something in that, but
They actually say that in the book. This is the perfect book to read to go to sleep or something.
yeah, he says
Yeah,
it
yeah.
up. Yeah. And then I find myself almost dozing off at time. But again, very, very good book. Very good film and learn the intricacies of the importance of why we sleep.
Yeah, I think I'm up to the point in it's still a very start I think, but they're in the cave. We're talking about being in the cave and REM sleep and how you actually adapt to it.
Yeah, it's great.
That's a good one. I think we covered everything quite well there.
I reckon we'll do an early finish for once, and we'll do the Q&A
Yeah.
separate, so that their listeners can get a separate episode, a bit more concise, to the point there, and then they can listen to the Q&A separately.
So this is a perfect example of actually refining the process for you. Me and Emmett realised that we just blabbered on a wee bit too much in the first 2 episodes. We're going to try and cut it to an hour, and then we're actually separating the episodes for a Q&A. So we'll do this hour episode, and then a nice wee 20-minute one coming out on Thursday, Friday, depending on where you live.
Yeah, well, that do us then for
Well,
why coaches have coaches and how to upskill as a coach. Hopefully plenty of some value taken there, bit of different
Some
perspectives there,
nuggets.
both of us, but it's all about Forbridge at the end of the day, all about that development. Whatever endeavour you do, whatever skill, you can always get better, always learn more, always improve by 1%. Keep doing that forever, and you'll get very good.
Very, very good. Just love the game as well. How do I end this one? Happy Easter, and I'll see you on the next. Well, I'll see you in a second, but I'll see you all next week.
Banach Dina Casca.
Don't know that
Happy
one.
Easter. Happy Easter.
Slang go forward, Emmett. Have a great day.